What is up, AlienARMy? I am Oculus, the alien next door, purveyor of esoteric lore, and on this channel we discuss everything esoteric, occult, and alien. Today's topic, we are going to be diving into the wonderful world of astrology, and as you can see, I have my channel in headphones on, so we're gonna do sort of like a freestyle type of deal here, alright? And I am just going to be channeling messages about personality traits of different individuals that have their moon in each house, okay, in astrology. So we're going to be talking about, you know, how a moon in the first house functions, how a moon in like the 11th house functions, and so on and so on, okay? So let's get started. So those with moon in the first house, okay, regardless of what their moon sign is, their emotions are always going to seem to be displayed, okay? So, you know, first house is like the sense of self. They're going to identify with their emotions very, very much more so than a lot of the other moon houses, okay, no matter what sign it's in. Now, let's say, for example, someone has an air moon or an earth moon, which are not typically considered emotional. They are going to identify very much with being non-emotional, and they are always going to seem, well, I'm not going to say always, but, you know, sometimes my tongue slips, but they are going to seem more often than not like they are, you know, nonplussed, or they might come off as cold, okay? And this is because with the moon in the first house, it's showcasing what's going on the inside with the emotions there. But if someone identifies as being non-emotional or having a lot of traits, let's say moon in Capricorn in the first house, no matter what the situation is, okay, if someone else is gonna like throw a tantrum or scream or start crying, that someone with a non-emotional moon in the first house, they're just going to appear sort of like stoic, like cool, calm, and collected, okay? So whatever element and sign placement the moon is in is going to be showcased like throughout, like how they come off to others, okay? Especially if it's conjunction the ascendant, the moon is going to be how this person really identifies with, like they more so than the other moon signs might identify with the characteristics and traits of their moon sign, okay? Moon in the second house. Now, this is someone who they are very, very possessive, okay? They are not someone who likes to share, okay? This can also be true with not wanting to share their feelings, for like thinking that they're going to come off as vulnerable, okay? This is someone who they like to keep their cards close to their heart, okay? They're not going to be flamboyantly emotional, but they are going to be very, very, very possessive, okay? Just like moon in the first house, this is someone who their emotions are going to come off, this is how I feel and that's all that matters. Moon in the second house is going to be someone who comes off as very possessive and guardian of their own emotions, okay? And they're going to be like, if someone tries to say, why do you feel the way you do, they're going to be like, what do you mean? Like, that's the way I feel, and that's it. Like it's like, whoa, like they have a whole strong defense. They have like a little army around their moon, kind of like protecting and defending their feelings, okay? So this is someone who they are going to be quite stubborn, okay? Their emotions aren't going to really fluctuate. Once they kind of decide to be in whatever emotional state they're going to be in, it might take a longer time for them to like snap out of it, okay? So moon in the third house. Now, moon in the third house, okay, this is someone who is going to come off as very like jumpy, like they're going to come off as they're high strung. Their energy is going to be more like what they're going to seem frantic, okay? Like their emotions is to be like 0 to 100 like right away, and then they might just be like, okay, forget it, and everyone around them is like, wait, what? You were just upset? Like, no, I wasn't. Why'd you take it like that? Like, I wasn't upset. Who said I was upset? It's gonna be like that, okay? So Moon in the third house is someone who their emotions are tied to their thoughts, okay? So their emotions are gonna be like, number one, they're gonna analyze, probably overanalyze like everything, okay? They might be like an overthinker, that stereotypical textbook overthinker. They might like pick apart like the smallest things, okay? Again, they're gonna be not guarded about their emotions the way someone in second house moon would be guarding their emotions, but they're gonna be guarded in a sense where it's like they don't even identify too much with the way they feel enough to carry over into like someone else. So when I say that, it's not that they're guarded, it's just that they're not really identifying because they haven't decided how they want to feel, because they're looking at their emotions sort of like objectively, and they're like, well, but I feel this. Oh no, I don't feel that. So when you ask someone with moon in the third house, like, how do you feel? They might be like, they might answer one thing like 5 minutes ago, and they might answer something else 5 minutes later, and then the person is kind of confused. They're like, wait, but you just said you felt like that. No, I didn't. It was really because of this. Like, it's like flip-floppy, okay? Now, moon in the fourth house is going to be someone who, no matter what their moon sign is, their emotions are going to be tied deeply to their roots, their family, like people close to them, okay? They might have like a sort of sappiness to their personality, okay? Just because this is the natural home of the moon. The moon governs the fourth house naturally. So they're at home there, and they're very comfortable expressing how they feel to others, okay? And this can also be, you know, they might not have moon in a water sign or a fire sign that is just like whoosh, like their emotions are just like a wave that hits everyone around them. Even if they have an air moon or an earth moon, they're still going to be comfortable showcasing what they're feeling on the inside at any given moment. So if, let's say, someone has moon in Aquarius, right, but it's in the fourth house, they're gonna be like a little bit analytical towards their emotions. They're like, listen, I don't know, I don't really feel anything like that, and they're just gonna say it. Boom. They're not gonna pretend to feel something that they don't, okay? So again, or let's say if they have moon in Scorpio and it's in the fourth house, it's gonna be different, because they're gonna be like, but I feel that way, now what? Like, it's gonna be like whatever they are feeling, they're gonna have no problem broadcasting it to anyone, okay? Just because of the fact that the moon is comfortable there, so it's gonna show its true colors, okay? So it's not gonna really be showcased in the way that like a first house moon is gonna be showcased. It's just gonna be showcased like, well, you know, this means something to me, this is what I care about, this is how I feel about it, and that's it, okay? Now, moon in the fifth house, okay, this is someone who their emotions are going to be very feisty and out there, okay? This is someone who likes to like, or they try to always, no matter what circumstance, they want to look at the bright side. They want to look at like, okay, how can I make the best of this situation? How am I feeling? How can I make myself feel better right now? Okay, because this is a moon sign that in the fifth house, the moon is operating like it wants to have fun. It wants to get out there. It doesn't want to be constrained. It doesn't want to be sad. This is a moon that is going to try to uplift and uplift and uplift its feelings, okay? And also, with that being said, moon in the fifth house can also be someone who overrides their feelings for the sake of having a good time, or to not let it be shown to others because they don't want to seem like a party pooper. The moon in the fifth house, no matter what it is, if it's like a more emotional sign or if it's a more logical sign, either which way, it's not that they're afraid to show their emotions for fear of looking vulnerable. It's more like their emotions, they don't want to bother with getting into the nitty gritty, going in depth and saying, well, this is how I really feel about it. They're like, okay, not that they sweep it under the rug, but they kind of just like put it to the side to maybe not deal with like on a personal level, okay? They'll sort of be like, oh yeah, everything's fine, you know, like, let's party, like. And this is someone also with the moon being in the fifth house, no matter what sign it's in, if they're feeling any which way that isn't positive and like you know, joyful, happy-go-lucky. This is someone who is likely to indulge in like over partying, drinking excessively, smoking excessively to kind of shut that emotion off, or to try to like amp up like their happy emotions, like they're sort of searching always for that happiness. Now, moon in the 6th house, okay, this is someone who it's similar to moon in the 3rd, but it's a little more stable. Like moon in the 3rd house is going to be someone who it's like they just appear like frazzled or frantic, okay, especially like when they're in a heightened emotional state. Someone with moon in the 6th house, they're going to be a little bit like what do you mean by that? They're going to be very scrutinizing. They're not necessarily going to be outright and upfront with their emotions. Okay, this is someone who is more going to be like analyzing their emotions on their own and not let anyone else know about it. So if you ask someone moon in the 6th house, like, how are you feeling? Be like, I'm good, you know, I'm working on it, I'm good. Like, right, if you're close to them, they might say that they feel a little bit off, but they're working on it, they're progressing. Like, yeah, you know what, it was this, but you know, I'm working on it, so I'm feeling better. Like, they're gonna try to like work out their emotions. They're gonna try to analyze like what caused them to feel a certain way and how they can fix it. They're constantly wanting to fix it. Or this might be someone who overanalyzes their emotional reactions to situations, okay? This is someone who, like, they're gonna take a step back, like, after they witness something that they don't want to have in their character. They're gonna be like, whoa, like, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have said that. Like, let me just nip this in the butt right now. I'm not going to do that again. Like, they're going to analyze the way that they feel, whether it's like an emotional reaction to someone else or just something that they felt inside. They're going to go right away and sort of figure it out, and then they're going to cease to emit that frequency. Okay, they're going to be like, no, I decided I don't want to react that way. I want to react this way, and they're going to move forward. Now, someone with moon in the 7th house, okay, this is someone who is quite sensitive to like other people around them, especially like a personal relationship or someone that they're very, very close to, okay? This is someone who their moods are going to sort of fluctuate depending on the type of crowd that they're around, okay? Now, this is not to say that they don't have genuine feelings. Of course they do, right? Everyone has genuine feelings, but it's gonna sort of taper off to like what the mood of people around them are, what they kind of feel is expected of them to be, okay? I don't know if that made sense, but let's say if they're in, like, they're at a party, right? And they're not feeling their best, they're kind of tired, they want to go home, but the other people around them are like, no, stay, have fun, let's take pics, whatever. And you're like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna take pictures, but it's like then they're gonna go home and feel even more drained because that's what they were doing, okay? Whereas let's say there's also a situation where like someone is like, you know, they're not in a good mood, and then they're you know, they're a little down. The moon in the 7th house is going to kind of tone down their energy to sort of be more in sync with someone who's in a more melancholy state, okay? They're going to kind of adjust their emotions to mirror what individuals around them are, okay? So this is especially true the closer you are to them. They're going to be more emotionally in sync with you regardless. So you might notice them that whatever kind of mood you're in, they're kind of in that mood as well. Now, this is also someone who, with the 7th house, it is a natural air house, okay? So it's not that they're necessarily, I mean, they might be an empath, I mean, they might not be too, but this is not, when I'm saying absorbing emotions, it's not absorbing the other person's emotions like they're taking it in as themselves. It's more like sensing the emotions and then kind of just mirroring it in a shallow way, okay? Even though they have feelings of their own, the other people might not ever know exactly where they stand because they're sort of gonna like tweak their vibration of their emotions a little bit to you know, picking up on what the other person is saying to be more in congruence with that. Moon in the 8th house, okay? So this is another water house, okay? A moon in the 8th house is someone whose emotions run very, very deep, okay? Very, very deep. They also, similar to moon in the 2nd house, they hold their cards very close to their heart. even if you know them very, very, very well, you might not know the depth of everything that's going on with their emotions. You probably won't be able to handle it even if you did. Moon in the 8th house is like, wow. And it's not even that they're analytical and analyzing their emotions and then tweaking it here, or, you know, these are people who are deep. Like, if you want to take a topic, I don't know, like sandpaper, okay, let's just say sandpaper, don't know where that came from, but here it is, sandpaper. You just think, oh, sandpaper, yeah, you just rub it on a surface, make it smooth, boom, whatever. Someone with moon in the 8th house will have layers of how they feel about sandpaper, okay, layers. Like, well, what is the sandpaper being used for? Like, why are we using sandpaper and not this? Or like, there's gonna be layers and layers, like going deep to where someone else is just be like, whoa, like it's just sandpaper, like chill. It's sort of like that. Not necessarily sandpaper, but you get the idea. So they're not on the surface at all. So whatever they feel is very deep, and they feel it very deeply, and they are not gonna display it to a lot of people. Number one, just because it's so deep. Right now, if we want to picture a lake where the surface is clear and it's calm, right, but then the lake is really, 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 really deep, right? Let's say the lake is like a mile deep. Now you have like a scuffle betwixt marine life down where the surface is, right? You have a little scuffle going on, and the water is turbulent deep down there where, you know, the fishes are, and they're scuffling and they're fighting. There's gonna be turbulent water, but on the surface, right, because where the scuffle took place, it was so deep, the surface is always going to remain calm, okay? And you're not going to even know that there is a scuffle taking place on the bottom of the ocean, okay? So that's sort of the way that I can describe moon in the 8th house. Like, no matter if they have a water moon, a fire moon, air, earth, whatever it is, like their emotions are just going to be like, okay. But their passion, you can definitely like see it in their eyes, especially if like it can come out of nowhere just because they feel so deeply. So if they have an emotional outburst towards you, it's going to be like quick and sudden and abrupt, and you're going to be like, whoa, where did that come from? Because you would not be expecting them to be that way over something that you might consider to be minute. Moon in the 9th house. Okay, so this is a moon that's very it might be spiritually inclined moon. Okay, this is also a moon that is almost like moon in the 3rd house, where it's like that restless nature, but it's more of like an expansive, like chill restlessness. I'm getting like Shaggy vibes from Scooby-Doo. Okay, like they're sort of always looking for their next emotional adventure. Moon in the 9th house can be a little bit hard to pin down, okay, especially in like an emotional way, or like an emotional type of affair with someone, like a romantic relationship. Moon in the 9th house is someone who wants to constantly explore. What they prize, moon in the 9th house, is someone who can have like discussions with them, like, but in an open-minded way. So if someone's very, very closed-minded, odds are the moon in the 9th house individual is not going to get along with them. They're going to kind of like breeze on by, okay? Moon in the 9th house is always kind of similar also to moon in the 5th house, where they're not going to really let like negative emotions get them down. They're not going to try to like chase things to satisfy them the way a moon in the 5th house would, but they're just going to kind of disappear and do their own thing and get out of whatever environment they felt was making them feel down, okay? So whereas, let's say moon in the 5th house, they're just gonna like whatever, like drink or go out with friends or whatever. Like moon in the 9th house, the difference is what they're gonna do, they're just gonna up and leave. They might go on a vacation by themselves. They might shut off their phone, go to the beach for the entire day, be entirely out of that. Not necessarily in a way where they're going to drink or smoke their problems away, but they just want to get out. They want to get out. It's almost like they want to step out of their emotions, and the way that they do that is to go to like a new place physically, okay? Even sometimes a new place in their mind, okay? So I wouldn't moon in 9th house, I'm just like picking up like psychedelics, okay? Psychedelic experiences would would be very like high priority for moon in the 9th house if they're trying to work on like, you know, a deep emotional issue or their mental health. Now, moon in the 10th house, okay, this is another cardinal house. This is the highest point on the natal chart, but unlike the first house, this is not really going to be on display, their emotions, the way they are in the first house where they're identifying with their emotions. This is more in a way where their emotions can intimidate other people around them, okay? Like their emotions are just very strong and noticeable. Now, it can be in any particular sign or element, but their emotions are going to seem to intimidate others, okay? So if this person is crying, right, this person is really upset, everyone around them is going to kind of be like, okay, I don't know what to do. Should I leave you alone? Should I be like, they're going to get like flustered. They don't know. If this person is screaming and yelling, the other person is just going to stand quiet, like, well, let them finish. Let me just not rock the boat. If they are someone who's really like in the throes of like non-emotions, like, you know what, I don't care, fuck you. The other person is be like, whoa, okay, I'll leave you alone. You know, like this is someone who, however they feel, it's gonna come across as very intimidating to anyone witnessing that, okay? Because in a sense, the moon on the 10th house is really sort of the aura, okay? Especially if it's in conjunction the midheaven. It's gonna be conveyed at large, okay? So their emotions are gonna seem almost larger than life, whether they are emotional or not. So let's take, you know, a sign, let's say Taurus, right? Taurus, okay? If Taurus moon is on the 10th house, Taurus moon is not overly emotional, but they're more like stubborn in their emotions, and they're more unyielding. So that is not emotional per se, okay? But it's just gonna come off as like larger than life, like, yeah, I'm stubborn, I'm not gonna bend, you're gonna bend to me, now what? And it's just gonna be conveyed at, like, on a grand scale, okay? So that this is why moon in the 10th house, their emotions like are just gonna intimidate others, like, and they're not that they're consciously trying to do it, it's just that's the way that it comes off. Now, moon in the 11th house, this is someone whose emotions, again, this is the 11th house. It's more of a cerebral type of placement. It's not necessarily an emotional one, but the moon in the 11th house is going to come off like nonchalant, nonplussed, kind of just blasé, like devil may care attitude. Their emotions are actually, they can be considered maybe a bit fickle. Not fickle in the way that like moon in the 3rd house would be fickle, like, oh yeah, well, like I felt that way 5 minutes ago, but now I don't. It's gonna be more, it can seem fickle. They're not fickle, but it can seem fickle in the sense that like what they deeply care about, what's going to kind of make them emotionally tick is going to be out of left field, okay? Because they can come off very like, you know, not stoic, but just like carefree, easy breezy, you know, just like that chill vibe. Like they don't really react to anything. They're just kind of like, all right, whatever. But then when they do react, it's so sudden, and it's for something that like you wouldn't even expect them to care about because they never mentioned it, okay? So it's like we're talking about bats in a cave and someone wants to go hunting bats, and you know, the moon in 11th house is someone who never mentioned bats. They don't really say anything. They're like, all right, whatever. And then you're like, okay, I'm gonna go hunting bats in a cave. And they're like, what the fuck do you mean you're gonna go hunting bats? Like, do you know how the bats would feel knowing you're gonna hunt them? And then you're just like, where did that come from? So it's sort of like that. It's not fickle where it's like jumpy. It seems like, wow, I didn't expect that to come. So this is someone who's gonna have an emotional outburst at like a time where it's least expected of them, okay? That's really like the vibe of moon in the 11th. Now, moon in the 12th, okay? The 12th is a natural water house, okay? So moon in the 12th is gonna have very deep emotions, not as deep as the moon in the 8th house, but they are going to be deep, and they're going to be deeply spiritual, like sort of like connected to everything around it. So moon in the 12th house, someone may or may not be an empath. They may or may not be clairsentient, but moon in the 12th house is a really good placement for that. This is also someone who, you know, might have a high psychic ability, okay? They're so in tune with everything, but their psychic ability might scare them a little bit. They might be a little afraid to like dive in there, or they might have seen glimpses of that and they're like, well, I don't want to touch that, okay? But this is someone who, moon in the 12th house, I pretty much guarantee someone with moon in the 12th house has had some sort of like psychic phenomena, some highly profound spiritual experience at least once, more likely than not multiple times, okay? This is someone who their emotions are gonna fluctuate. Like they can be very happy all of a sudden, very sad all the next. They're very like fluid in their emotions, okay? Like they can have a sobbing fit, and then 2 seconds later they're like, okay, you want to go outside, let me just like dry my eyes and we'll get going, right? And it's sort of like, but their emotions, they can be intense in the moment and then over it. So their emotions are very fleeting, okay? It's not something that's going to be solid. You might find that this person with moon in the 12th house changes their mind, changes their opinions, changes their feelings a lot. They're not going to really be tied to any particular emotion, any particular cause or something like that. It's just sort of like, yeah, I felt like it. And you're like, wait, what do you mean? Like, I just felt like it. Like they went skydiving the other day. Wait, what? Where did that come from? I don't know, I felt like it. Like it's very just kind of random and out of the blue, like how they'll react to something. So yeah, that was really a quick breakdown. I didn't want to get too in depth just because I did all the signs, but yeah, those are little snippets of how the moon functions in each of the 12 astrological houses. I am Oculus, the alien next door, and we will chit chat again soon.